This next session is really exciting because it's one of the most interesting speakers. We got tremendous feedback about this from last year, so I'm proud to introduce Terry Ward, founder and president of Commskills Group.
Thanks. Thanks very much. I want to be a board winner, too. How do I do that? It's great. There are utterly too many people here in this room now. I was told that a handful would show up, so I'm going to crank up my energy. Now, how many people were at the Life's a Pitch talk last year in New York? Anyone here? Oh, good. Okay, so a handful. Great. Excellent. All right, before I kind of go into this whole idea of how you think on your feet, I want to ask you a couple questions. Now, it's a big room, so if you can just kind of speak up as much as you can, and I'll repeat whatever you say. What are the typical situations you find yourself in where you have to think on your feet, where that is just happening? So what are those situations? Where do you find yourself?
Breaking news.
Breaking news? Okay, and what would be the situation with that? Okay, great. And what was yours? What did you say? Okay, pitching an idea, right. And then they say, what else do you have? And we were talking about that. It's like, that's all I got. All right. What else? What are the situations? Okay. And that would be in like a production meeting?
Yeah, or a network having a very sudden schedule change.
All right. Great. Okay, schedule change. What else? Yeah. And what would you have to be doing there to think on your feet?
I'm thinking international sports league, like picking up Italian soccer, French soccer, Bundesliga.
Okay, so just coming up with some ideas right there on the spot again. All right, good. What else? Anything else? Yep, way back there. Directing? Right. Great, right, exactly. Just what's happening, this isn't working, what do we do now? Great, excellent, all right. What else? Anything else? Yeah.
Concepting a spot promo.
Yep.
Concepting a spot last minute, may not have the right assets, coming up with some way to get that.
Okay, great. So just coming up with the resources and whatever you need in order to make a change on the run. All right, good. What else? Anything else? Yeah. Promax. Oh, okay. Networking. Right, just around, just talking, kind of coming up with things to say. Exactly. All right, good. Pretend you're somebody special, that you have power. All right, anything else? Yes?
You're in a meeting, and there's a spectator.
Right. Right, exactly. Somebody just asked you to comment on something. Somebody asked you to give an update on something, right? Good. Anything else?
Giving creative feedback to employees or
Right, good. Yeah, how do you give feedback, especially if maybe it's not the nicest feedback? Right, you know, it's hard to do. Good. All right, anything else? Now, one thing about thinking on your feet that I will not be doing is if you don't have the content, if you don't have the skills, you don't have the knowledge and all that, you're out of luck. You know, thinking on your feet is about being able to, within the area that you know and with all of the different parameters, that you can basically drop into a place where you can make sense, where you can put a couple things together. One of the things about thinking on your feet, especially when you're asked to speak on something, whether it's in a meeting, an update, somebody says, you know, you got to pitch this, you got to do this, whatever it is the idea that less is more. So a lot of times when we're thinking on our feet, especially with content, we go on and on and on and on, and that is not really helpful because we think we're trying to cover everything and we've got all these ideas and we put it out there. Part of your job is to really to edit it down and give them a very succinct concept, idea, support it with a couple things, and then close it down, and then see what they do with it. Because you can just keep talking and keep talking and keep talking, and you bury yourself, and you bury them. So you want to be really careful. Now, What challenges do you find then in these situations? What's difficult about being able to think right there on the spot and organize your ideas? Yeah.
Questions, like sometimes you're working your way through a pitch and they'll ask a question that you're going to cover, but it's way before you're at that point.
Okay, right. So they're asking questions out of sequence, right? And you're going to get to it, et cetera. Okay, great. So that's a challenge. Anything else that just really throws you off besides the situation, but the challenge itself that you feel internally or that goes on inside your head? Right. I just can't get. I can't get the words out. I can't formulate my idea so that I can speak it. Because having it in your head's one thing. Having it come out your mouth is a completely different thing. All right. Any other challenge?
The environment, depending on where you are, and whether it's loud music or you're in a restaurant, you're trying to talk to somebody important, trying to pitch them, but you just can't concentrate.
Right. You can't concentrate.
They don't hear you.
Right, and they're distracted too. There's all these millions of different things going on at the same time. All right, good. Well, let me show you what we're going to do today. Three major things. State of mind. One of the things, and I may have talked about this last year, but really the key thing in any communication situation, and almost in anything that you do, if you want to be good at it, your state of mind has to be really, really confident. You have to really believe in what you're doing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Then I'm going to talk about some delivery skills, because you can have the best idea in the world, and if you don't put it out there in a way that people feel really confident in what you're doing and that you know what you're doing, so you create kind of that sense that this is a good idea because of the way you're putting it out there, then it can work against you. And then finally, and this is really the key to thinking on your feet, is templates. The problem, once again, with thinking on your feet is you usually try to do too much. You put too much in there, and you start to clog up not only your own mind, but you clog up the mind of whoever it is that you're talking to. So we're going to look at these real simple little templates that whether you're asked to talk in a meeting, whether there's a change up, whether you have to redirect a scene, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. You have to be as clear and concise as you possibly can be. And it serves both you and the listener. So I'll show you a couple real simple little templates, and whenever you're in a situation, you can play with this. I'm not going to go into all of them. There's lots of different ones. I'm going to give you a couple real basic ones that you can use really easily. When you're pitching an idea, when you're talking about a concept, when you're in the middle of being asked to change, do you hear any of these voices inside your head? You could probably list a lot of other things that you're saying to yourself, some of which we can't speak in mixed company. That's the problem, is that those kinds of voices go on. I mean, I don't know what it is, but as human beings, this is what happens inside our head. It doesn't matter the situation. And do you think these messages that you're playing to yourself are helpful? No, not really helpful at all. Not helpful to you especially, but also not helpful to your idea and not helpful to your listener at all. You don't want to listen to somebody where this is in the background. And you can feel it, and you can really feel it when somebody has this. So this idea of these voices that go on, you have to change your state of mind. You literally have to stop playing these kinds of messages, and you have to play a different message. And it seems a little hard, seems a little airy-fairy, like, oh, it's like, laws of attraction or the secret or whatever it is. It works. It really does work, because an example of just changing your mind. If you're driving along in Los Angeles, no matter where you go, there's traffic. So if you're driving along and you hit a red light and you want to get to this whatever function you're going to, you hit a red light, you're going crazy. It's like, oh my God, I'm hitting every red light. I can't believe it. You're upset. You're completely frazzled, right? So let's say you're driving to try and get to the same place, but now you have a real yummy sandwich that you just bought, really hungry. And you're driving along. When you hit that red light, are you upset? Oh man, I can eat my sandwich now. This is great. I can gobble it down. really nothing has changed but your state of mind around what's happening. You want the red lights now because the red lights allow you to do something else. Well, getting rid of these voices and literally just changing your mindset, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it, is the first step. I mean, this is in anything you do. I mean, you're all in creative fields. You got to do this, and these voices have to be shut down. And it's not like you're pretending and living in an ideal world or anything else. It's just simply, they don't do you any good. They really don't. So it doesn't mean if you don't say them that somehow magically you're going to become this incredibly confident person in every situation, and when you're trying to think on your feet, it's all going to be there. No, but this doesn't help. So you really want to adopt that state of mind. I mean, even, I'm sitting back there. I've been doing this for 25 years. And those voices still try and creep in. As soon as they creep in, I just change it. Oh my God, look at how many people are here. No, this will be great. There's a lot of people, a lot of energy in here. I just keep changing my state of mind. This is Michael Phelps. Pretty good swimmer. I used to use Tiger Woods, but apparently he wasn't really concentrated on the game of golf. Very, very busy guy. All right. So when Michael Phelps is on the blocks at the Olympics and he's getting ready to swim and he's looking down the lanes at the other swimmers, do you think he's saying things like, oh, those guys are really big. What am I doing here? I shouldn't really be here. I don't know how to... No. His state of mind is really clear, right? Gold medal. I mean, nothing else gets in his way. And that's true with almost any athlete or anybody that is any kind of a performance-based situation. They have this incredibly focused state of mind. And they really do believe that they're the best at what they do, which is key. So part of this, you want to exchange those old tapes for this new tape. I'm going to give you kind of the penultimate, kind of the quintessential message. Now, you don't have to use this one, but it's going to be your own variation on this. Your ideas are brilliant, right? You have to think that, because if you don't think they're brilliant, what do you think the person that you're talking with is going to think? If you're pitching an idea and you really don't think it's very good, you think they won't be able to feel that? They can tell immediately. So you have to just really think, man, these are great ideas. And really important that they're valuable to my listener, because that's really the key. Not only are they great, but they're really valuable. I mean, they can really help you. And I'm really excited about sharing them with you. And once again, that's a state of mind. If you get nervous at all, how many people get a little anxious when you do have to pitch an idea, talk, be under the gun, think on your feet? Right. Almost everybody, if you're human. That's part of it. So what you can do, this excitement, there's about this much difference between excitement and fear. I mean, literally, the same things happen in your body. Heart rate goes up, your senses get really heightened, your breathing picks up, you may get tunnel vision a little bit, you might get nauseous. It's all for a reason. I mean, the blood's changing and doing all kinds of other things. Well, excitement and fear, about the same thing. So what you want to do is, even when you're starting to kind of panic in that moment, when you think, oh, they're asking me to do this, or they're challenging me, or what do I do in this situation? You want to really, instead of panic, go, oh God, I'm nervous here. Just go, oh, this is a great opportunity. I'm very excited about this. It's going to give me a chance to really kind of play off of this thing. If you're nauseous, excellent. You're very enthusiastic at that moment. Might as well. I mean, it's going to be there anyway. So whatever your variation on this, you want to start really thinking about this, no matter what situation you go into, because that idea of thinking on your feet is, if you're not really feeling this, it's really difficult for your mind to open up and do what it needs to do. Because as soon as you get challenged on anything, whether that's, what else do you have, or whether that's speak up at a meeting or whatever it is, if you don't really think that what you're talking about is good, your mind just gets defensive and closes down on you. Does that do you any good? No. See, the thing is, all the things that we do, they don't do you any good. So try different things. Do it in a different way and see what happens. At least your experience of it will be much, much better. And when you do that, once again, your mind opens up and all kinds of possibilities come up. Any comments on this idea, questions, anything at all? Make sense? Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. Problem I see is when you think your ideas are brilliant,
Right. And they're not.
the original voice in your head says it's brilliant, but you're looking at the feedback, the person who's like,
Right. Right. They look at you like you, yeah.
I feel like I'm watching two channels, and I'm listening to their channel say, this sucks.
Right. Well, I mean, once again, it's a tough situation because what can you do? By thinking, oh, my ideas suck, doesn't help you, right? It's still a great idea. They may not agree with it, it's still a great idea. So you just have to go, okay, here's another great idea, or ask them some questions about what is it about this idea you don't, I mean, you know, just keep going with it because, first of all, you don't know what they're thinking anyway. How many people really think they can read minds when they're looking at the way somebody's listening to them? I mean, really, somebody could be looking at you like this, arms crossed, legs crossed, looking at you while you're pitching going. And you're thinking, oh, they hate the idea. And what's really going on is they're going, I hate my wife. I do, I hate her. You don't know what they're thinking. Some people, do you have friends that when you're talking to them, it looks like, hello, are you even paying attention to me? Because they don't listen well. Well, a lot of people don't listen well. So don't make up stories, really. Don't make up any stories. Just keep going, you know, keep that energy. You do have great ideas. And if they don't like that one, you have another great idea. It just doesn't seem that great in the moment, but keep giving it that energy because you got no other choice. That's where you can go. I mean, every single time I've ever given a talk, I always am aware of somebody, usually right up front, who hates me. They do. I can see it. I can see it in their eyes. I know they're doing it. I was in Hawaii a long time ago when I was first doing this, and there was a big Samoan guy with a cowboy hat, aloha shirt, shorts, cowboy boots, big giant peacock feather. He was right there, arms crossed, legs crossed, and I knew it, man. He wanted me dead. He wanted me off this island. As soon as I stopped, first guy comes out of his seat. This guy said, that was terrific. Thank you so much. I can use these. I was like, okay, first I want to hit you, and then we'll move on. But because you can't, you really don't know. And it doesn't do you any good at that point to really start to go, oh, they hate this. Look, you know, it's just an idea. They get to have it or they get to like it or they don't. You don't get to choose if people are going to like your ideas. You don't get to choose the outcome. So just in the moment, you know, keep it where you're actually enjoying it to some degree anyway. I know you think, well, yeah, but, you know, my job is on the line. It's online anyway. You know, your thought process or how you put it out there is not going to impact that at all. So kind of letting go of outcome is a really key thing. You just put it out there, and then they get to decide whatever they want to decide. They can not like it, they can love it, whatever happens. But your mental state has to be there, or you will crumble in the easiest situations, because you'll doubt yourself immediately, and then you won't make sense, and nothing comes out at that point. So just kind of play with this idea. Just think about it. And you can practice this just with friends and family members. You don't have to wait till there's a big high-stakes situation where you're going to be put on the spot and you got to think on your feet. Any other comments about this idea? Yes?
Can this sometimes backfire if you get too far?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're the most brilliant human being in the world, right? And it really comes more down to this excitement that it's valuable to them. So not so much, what a great, I'm so brilliant. It's more, I got great ideas, and they're really valuable. And really, that's the place you want to come from, that they're really helpful, they're valuable. They're really going to help you do whatever it is that you need to do. And the idea that you're excited about it, because that excitement just transfers over immediately, and that's where people get that human connection from you, is if you're excited about it, they're more likely going to be. And if you're not, they will never be. It doesn't work that way. So once again, if your mind closes down and you can't really put things together, you're done. Because nobody's going to go, wow, that's horrible, but it's a great idea. Normally, sometimes that does happen. All right. And I just want to talk a little bit about trust and belief, and then I'll talk about a couple different skills, and then we'll get right into the templates. How important is it that people trust and believe you when you're talking to them? Pretty important, right? If they don't trust and believe you, they will not be listening to you. They'll just shut down. And there's a Professor Albert Moravian that was here at UCLA, and his field of study was communications. And you ever hear that when you first meet somebody or you first experience somebody, maybe in a meeting or in a situation, social situation, that within the first 15 to 30 seconds you decide whether you kind of trust them, believe them, like them, that sort of thing? And we do it. We do it immediately. It's kind of a survival instinct thing, but we do. We meet somebody and we decide whether or not I'm confident in you, or I trust you, or I can believe you, and we do it. And it's hard. It's first impression. It's hard to change a first impression. But we do it very, very quickly. So Moravian wanted to find out, okay, well, so what do we use when we do this? How do we determine whether we trust and believe somebody? So he did all these surveys and studies, and he came up with this idea that there are 3 elements, and that's about it. There's the verbal, which is the content. There's the vocal, which is the sound of the voice, and then there's the visual, which is everything you see: eye connection, facial animation, body language, even how you're dressed. We take all that in, and then we make up our minds on that spot about whether we trust and believe you. It happens very, very quickly. So then what he wanted to do was find out, okay, well, are these equal in the kind of impact that they have on trust and belief, or does one carry more weight than the other one? So he did some more studies, and I'll show you what he found out. But do a quick little exercise with me. Take your right hand and make a circle, like an OK sign with your thumb and forefinger. It's very simple. It's very easy to do. Put it down kind of parallel to your body here as you're sitting in the chair. All right, now bring it up over your head. All right, parallel. Very good. You guys you're smarter than you look. Cross your chest. All right, very good. Now bring it out to the side. Don't hit anybody if you're sitting next to somebody. All right. Bring it in, put it on your chin and hold it there. Okay. Yep, that's right. Your chin. This is your chin. This is your cheeks. I love doing that. I feel so superior. It's Simon Says. It's a game we all played. I mean, the visual element has such an impact on things that that's one of the key things you have to really be aware of. So here's the numbers you found. 738 and 55. Now, some of you, I'm sure, have seen this before. Any of you were at the last year's meeting that I spoke at. You remember this. By the way, let me interpret it. It does not mean that the content is only 7% important. What we're talking about is trust and belief here. And this study was done with an inconsistent message. So if there's an inconsistency in the message, first thing I'm going to do is say, do you look like you know what you're talking about? Then do you sound like you know what you're talking about? And finally, okay, there's the content. And what I mean by inconsistent message is if I got up here and said, good morning, afternoon, I'm sorry. This is going to be a really great hour. You're going to learn some really pretty terrific things. I think it's going to change your life. I do. and I'm excited as I can be about it. Okay, so the words, if you wrote them down, would be, okay, great. This sounds like this would be a good, useful hour. But what I do to it visually and vocally is I destroy it, right? So first thing you're going to do is you're going to watch them, you're going to look at it, you're going to pick it up. We're not even doing it consciously, but you're going to pick up certain things, and then you are just going to say, no, they don't look like they know what they're talking about. They don't look confident, so I'm not going to really trust what they're talking about or have confidence. Or you look like it, but your voice kind of betrays you to a certain extent. You sound bored. You sound like you don't really believe in what you're talking about. I mean, there's so many things that come off of the voice. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to stop there. Now, what you want is no inconsistency. That's why when you talk about this idea of thinking on your feet, one of the big things is you want to really put your ideas out there in that moment that you're creating or that you're organizing. You want to put it out there in a way that you really look like you know what you're doing and you really sound like you know what you're doing. Because that won't get in my way then, and I'll really have a much better chance of accepting what you said and maybe going in that direction and believing you. So I'm going to talk about a couple skills that really have an impact on this. And just kind of briefly give you some ways to use those and practice them, and then we'll look at this idea of how do you organize in the moment and how do you deal with that spontaneous thinking part. Now, is everybody here comfortable looking at somebody one-on-one when you're just talking to one person? Everybody? It's pretty comfortable, right? You know, we have that connection, talk to them. The trouble is when you get more than one person, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 300, whatever it is, what happens with your eye connection is you start to do this kind of darting or scanning, because you were told, you know, look at people when you're talking to them. So we end up doing it. We look all over the place, looking at people. The trouble is, if somebody asked you after I was doing this for this hour, did Terry look at you, your response would be, no, he didn't, ever. And with the advent of BlackBerries and iPhones and everything else, if you don't feel like I'm really engaging you and talking with you, it's really easy to pull that out and start doing some emails or texting. I mean, that's a challenge. I mean, half the people in meetings aren't in meetings. You know, they're at their little fantasy desk doing work. You just happen to be in the way and distracting them at the moment. You know, so really, this idea of eye connection is you want to bring people in. You want to look at somebody and finish a sentence so that you feel looked at. Then I'll turn my head and I'll talk to somebody else and I'll finish a sentence to them. And then I'll look at somebody else and finish a sentence to them. Because I'm communicating. I'm not just going through my stuff. I'm not just vomiting up information. I'm trying to get my ideas through to you in a way that you will actually get the importance of them and hopefully do something with those. And if somebody's got this kind of darting eye connection, what impression might you make about them if they're all over the place? Shifty. Yeah, shifty, shady, nervous, scattered. I mean, not good adjectives. And you will. And the truth is, you might not be at all. You were just told, look at people when you're talking to them. So you try. There's a lot of people in here, but I'll try to do it. There is no such thing as a group. This is not a group of people. At the end of this, you don't all move together en masse, you know, someplace else. You go individually away. So there is no group. So I'm not going to talk to a group. I haven't talked to a group in 25 years. I'm going to talk to the guy way back there with a white shirt and the black jacket. And I'm going to talk to the guy in the back standing up in the red shirt. And I'm just going to keep trying to get my ideas through to you. And this is a big situation, but even if it's 2 or 3 people, same thing. I want to talk to you, I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to you. Because one of the things with eye connection, if you don't include somebody, let's say you're the VP, and I'm talking with you, and this is your assistant, and I don't even know why you're here. I really don't. It's just supposed to be those two. So if I just end up talking most of the time to him, you know, I'm giving him, you know, and I might kind of glance occasionally, great, all right. So I've talked to who I think is the most important person in the room. I leave the room after the meeting, and what do you think he might do? Yeah, what do you think about this? And what do you think their reaction is going to be? Negative. Because I told them what with my eyes? You're not important. No, you're not important. And it is amazing how we are just cued into that sort of thing. We will make a judgment call right there. It happens all the time at cocktail parties and social situations where people are in a group talking and one person will just turn their back a little bit on you and it's like, he's doing that. And I'm short, and that's really hard to do. So all these little things we're hardwired for, so you got to be careful. So individualize it. If there's 3 people, no, there's 3 individuals in that room. If there's 2 people, there's 2. If there's 6, there's 6, whatever it is. So when you're in front of them, really let each person know that they're important and they're valuable, and you really want to honor the fact that they're here, and you want to engage them. So include everyone. Don't get picky. And don't look at the people, if you're doing a speech and somebody's smiling and nodding, you know, you don't talk to them the whole time, because you will be sucked into that and not talk to the other people. And then be random. I mean, really, you know, in a situation, you don't want to just kind of do this, you know, I've got you, and then I've got you, and I've got you, and I've got you, and I've got you, and I've got you, you know. It's like he's got his BlackBerry going, okay, I got, okay, you know. So be random. Really kind of just don't let people know. And you have to do this right off the bat in a meeting, because if you don't look at people, they will take that as, great, I can actually, you know, I can go and text and do all the other things. And then it's hard to get them back. But if I'm looking at you right off the get-go, then you know, oh, looking at me. I'm so pissed, you know, because you're gonna be engaged. Most people will respond to that. Most people do have consideration. Some don't, and you know who they are. Any comments about eye connection? Just kind of a quick little skill. Very powerful. One of the most powerful skills you can use. Yeah. Yeah, don't dart around. I mean, it literally, they've done studies anywhere between 3 to 6 seconds. Anything more than 6 starts to feel a little bit like, oh, get off of me. There's other people here. So, and anything less than 3 seconds is just kind of, you don't really get that connection. So and what's nice is a sentence takes about that long, about 3 or 4 seconds on average, and then you can move off. And if it's really long, then you'll feel it. There's a connection, boom. And if somebody looks away from you, they've told you that they've reached their limit. So if they dart away for a second, get off them. Don't stay on them. You'll look back at me. I know you will. I'll get you. So really, wonderful skill, wonderful. And you can practice this with your friends and family, breakfast, lunches, dinners, anything. So that what you do, it takes 21 to 28 days to change a habit, and this kind of thing is a habit. If you want to change it, 21 to 28 days every day, doing it a different way. Don't go back and do it the other way, but if you do it a different way each time, then after 21 days, that's a new habit. That's what you do. So if you're just doing it on low stakes, then when you walk into a pitch, in a meeting, a high-stakes situation, directing, whatever's happening, you can maintain that, and you'll always come across as unbelievably confident, in control, on top of things. I mean, if you look at any good speaker, you'll see that they do this. They are really talking to people. They are trying to engage. Yeah?
Don't you think it's also important when you meet somebody, whether it's for a job or what have you, that you introduce yourself with your first and your last name?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think now people are so casual, they just say, hi, my name's Susan, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then that doesn't give the person an opportunity to really reinforce who they are.
No, you really should. I mean, in a simple situation like that, always, give them your first and last name. And then really try and listen to them when they give you their name. Because it's like, most of the time we're so concerned about giving them their name, we forget who they are, and it doesn't work out. So really, take a second to even repeat their name helps to make sure that you remember it also. It's my favorite skill in the world. And this is the secret to speaking or to thinking on your feet, to any kind of impromptu situation. Most of the time we open our mouths before we know what we're going to say, and we're all over the place. Ever get that where you're thinking, oh no, God, please stop me from talking because I am so far over here and I don't want to be there? It's because you didn't stop. You didn't think. You can take a lot of time to think. You really can before you start to speak. People understand that. It looks like you're considered, like you're really thinking about this idea. But we're so afraid of silence that we just keep filling it in with whatever. These, what I call filler words, okay, like. Sometimes it's a word, actually, honestly, basically. Everybody's got something. We use them. Why do we use them? Right, we're thinking, and we're trying to tell the truth. What's that? So what you're doing is you're thinking, and we don't like the silence, so we just throw a word in there. Thinking that, an animal sound like is really going to throw people off. They're going to think, you're brilliant, you know what you're talking about. They don't work, because if somebody has a lot of ums and ahs, what do you think about them? Yeah, you don't know what they're talking about. They're completely scattered. They're thrown off. They're nervous. All those different elements. And it may not be true at all. It may be your habit is that when you think, you make these sounds. That's all. So what you really want to do is you want to find out what your sound is. What do you use? What word, phrase, sound do you make when you're thinking? And then if you have kids between 5 and 15, just say, look, for the younger ones, I'll give you a quarter for every time you hear me say and they will be on you. You will lose an incredible amount of money that first day, but then you will not lose anything because you'll be really stern. And if it's an older child, give them a little bit more money. But you can use your spouse, your good friend, your partner, whoever, and just say, I'll take you to your favorite restaurant if you just do this for me. But you have to hear where they come because we don't know that they're there. Once you hear them, you can start to anticipate them, and then you can get rid of them. And I'll tell you, the difference between somebody who has a lot of ums and somebody who doesn't it's remarkable. I mean, if I got up here and said, hi, my name's Terry Ward, and I have the company Commskills Group, and I used to be in, it's like, oh my God, Terry, please, pick it up. Now, if I just throw pauses in there and say, and the same thing's going on, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to say. Say, hi, my name is Terry Ward, and I have the company Commskills Group. It's based up in Northern California, but I live down in, it's just, they're going on in my head, but I'm breathing. So what you want to do is you want to replace those with a pause and a breath. Because you can say or you can take a breath. The same thing is happening. You're thinking about what you want to say next. One's not effective, the other one's unbelievably effective. Because also the breath relaxes you. They use it in meditation, they use it in childbirth because it literally affects the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you take a deep breath, it literally just, your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure goes down. It really has a huge impact. So you want to use that. Because most of the time, we're just blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. And we're literally going down to, you're having a little contest with yourself where you think, I can finish this sentence. I don't have to breathe. I know I can. And then you suck just enough air that you can keep going because heaven forbid there should be a second of silence. And then you start this pattern of no breath, or half a breath to no breath, half a breath to no breath. And it'll kill you. Do you ever get that sense in like, God, I couldn't catch my breath in there? Yeah, you weren't breathing. It's simple. And it really is important to breathe because it really does. It'll help center you. It'll clear your mind. And just taking that time is so valuable because if you don't, how could you possibly think on your feet? Because we feel this pressure. I've got to, they ask a question or they ask me to comment or they, the scene is not working or whatever it is. And it's like, I have to show that I'm brilliant in this moment. And you don't. You kind of trip over yourself. So give yourself 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. Once you get on beyond about 8 to 10 seconds, then you start to scare people. So it can be a really long time. And when you're thinking, too, try and see if you can kind of, this is the only time that darting's good with your eyes. Because I can hold a long pause. If I stay with you, with my eyes. Little different feeling for you if I pause. And inside, the same thing is happening. It's like, oh my God, where am I going to go next with this? But just pause, breathe, look around. And if you don't want to do that, at least pick one spot that's kind of down and look right at it. Don't dart around. Don't go up because it looks like you're just searching. So, somebody asks you a question or wants you to comment or they're challenging you, just, all right, I think I have an idea, boom, go ahead and do it. You're in charge. If somebody can pause, because what we think is if we don't pause, people are going to think we don't know what we're doing, we're lost, we don't have the answer, we don't have an idea. Then the exact opposite is true. If you pause and really think and take some time, we think, wow, you're confident. You're confident with silence. You own that room at that moment. Because you're taking your time and you're thinking. And the more you do that, the more your mind starts to relax. And think, okay, great, I don't have to have that extra added element of time. Because our minds are amazing. They can do incredible things very, very quickly, but not instantaneously. So thinking on your feet means be quiet. Think on your feet. Then speak. Once again, I can't teach you how to come up with great ideas in the moment, but the more you start to trust the process and give yourself a little bit more time, you'll be amazed at the kinds of things you can come up with and how to deal with it. Love this skill. It's my favorite skill. You do the eyes and you do this, it's a hat trick. You will look unbelievably prepared, confident, knowledgeable, all of it. It's amazing. And once again, you see any good presenter, any good speaker, they do this. Yeah?
How do you keep people from interrupting you when you do the
I know. Sometimes that can be a problem. Now, there are two kinds of people that interrupt. There are people that interrupt because they're actually interested and they're bringing stuff to the table, and then there are the people that interrupt because they're idiots and they're inconsiderate, they don't have any man, whatever. They're trying to throw you off. There's lots of other reasons to do it. So one of the things is eye connection comes into play here. Because if I'm talking about something and I pause and somebody interrupts me, if I look at them, what just happened? I gave it away, right? They're going to talk. I just gave them the baton. But if I'm talking and I pause and they start to talk and I don't look at them and I start my next sentence, as if I didn't hear that, it actually works beautifully. I'll give you an example. I'm going to say one sentence and I want you just to interrupt, say whatever you want to, okay? So eye connection is one of the most important skills you can use. And the reason that I say this is because, it's like, I don't see you. Now, it doesn't work if there's two people. I mean, it's not going to work. But if there's a group, it's like, I don't see you. Yeah, that doesn't work. So, but it really will work in a group setting when you do that. Just jump in with a lot of energy, and it's almost like, wow, he's so into what he's saying, he didn't hear that. And most people at that point will take the cue. There are other people who will not. They will just keep interrupting, and they'll keep talking, and that's just that. You can't do anything about that. You can manage things. You can't change anybody. You never can. So you can kind of play with that idea, and only would I do that if I think that the person who's interrupting is not contributing. But a lot of times you want people to contribute and say things because that gives you more time to think, and they might have ideas or questions that will help you get clear on things. So I'm not usually afraid of people kind of throwing stuff out there unless I have to get a concept out. Anything else on this idea of pausing? And I probably wouldn't try that with my senior executive or something. I was like, I don't see you. But we do it all the time. You walk down the street, somebody's panhandling, what do? Don't look at them, because if you look at them, you're giving them an invitation to come and ask you for money. And then the voice. This is the last thing. People can tell how you feel by your voice. They just can. It's everywhere. You could call your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever, and say, hey, how you doing today? And they go, fine. Wow, man, you can't figure out what you did wrong, but you did something wrong. And the word is fine. Or how was your weekend? Fantastic. Oh, what happened? How was your weekend? Fantastic. Oh, what'd you do? How was your weekend? Fantastic. Oh, man, what did you do? I want to do it. Same words, totally different weekends. Absolutely. So when you're talking about an idea, concept, whatever, if you sound bored, if you sound like you're doubtful, we will pick it up, and that we would be idiots to get excited about something that you're creating in the moment, and you don't even believe it. So you'll kill yourself if you don't keep that enthusiasm. That's why that idea, this state of mind, you got to keep that state of mind up, or otherwise we're going to pick up that you gave up, you're done, and you will not engage me. It doesn't matter what you say at that point. You're giving it away. So practice what I used to do with the variety in the voice is I would just read out loud and I'd tape record myself, because a lot of times I thought I was speaking with enthusiasm. I'd listen back, it was like flat. And then I'd do it again, really thinking I'm going crazy, and it's like, wow, it's still kind of flat. I'm sure there's a lot of voice talent in here who know that really well. I mean, it's amazing what that voice can do. So you want to make sure you have variety and that people get that you really believe in what you're talking about. And projection just means if you're in like a room like this, I need a mic. I could not speak all the way back there. I mean, I can get to a certain level and then that's it. But usually in any room, you want to speak loud enough that if you're over here and there's a big conference table, there's a lot of people, that they can hear your energy. It doesn't necessarily mean you're yelling. It just means they can get that you have energy about what you're talking about. Because some people are soft-spoken. That's their nature. Everybody in this room has their own natural style. You don't want to change that. But you can still be soft-spoken and have energy about what you're talking about. And that's really what that projection means. Yeah?
I heard that male voices, like, that were less modular, was kind of considered more confident or more attractive. Clint Eastwood style.
You mean that monotone thing? Yeah, it's fine if what you're trying to accomplish is just, I want you to think I'm totally cool and, got it together. Not a great way to pitch an idea, though, because people, it doesn't work that way. They'll think, you're cool and you're an idiot. I'm not going to do anything you're saying. It's like you're so concerned about that. So create an impression. Yeah, you can do a lot of things with your voice, but you got to make sure what's appropriate for that situation. And if you want to get people excited, you have to get excited. But if your intention is just to get people to feel really confident in you, that you're really tough, yeah, you can do lots of different things. Anything else? Any other questions on voice? It's a wind instrument, so if you're not breathing, you're not going to be able to really use it very well. So read out loud, and every time you get to a period, take a nice deep breath. Get to the end of the sentence, take another deep breath. And when I mean take a deep breath, I want you to breathe in And from that full breath, you speak out. Because if you can develop the voice and you can develop the pausing and you can develop the eye connection, I don't care what you say, it's always going to sound like a really good idea. Now, with further thought, it might not be, but the initial hit is going to be like, wow, because you're saying it confidently. I mean, one of the reasons I love doing this job is because there's lots of people in different corporations that don't really have very good ideas, and they get a lot of stuff accomplished. And it's because they're good at this kind of stuff. And then you have really genius people who don't get anything accomplished because they can't get their ideas across. So here's a couple templates that you can use. They're very, very simple. This is basic. It's like the oldest thing in the world. Somebody asks you something, whatever it is, if it's a question about something or they want you to comment on something, etc. What's your idea, by the way? Start with your conclusion. So stop, pause, and think. What is my basic, what do I want to say? Then you back out and you give one or two supporting points. You could just give one if you want to, or two, but don't go on and on and on, because if you do this nice and succinctly and then you restate what you started with, and be quiet, then you're going to get maybe some input from them in some degree or another. But talking and talking and talking doesn't make things clearer. It makes things even more kind of vague. So just say it, and then try and get this idea of back and forth. If somebody says, you know, what are your thoughts about the BP oil spill? Stop. Let's see. Well, I think it's going to change the face of the oil industry. And the reason I say that is because we've had problems in the past with Valdez, that nothing like this. I mean, nothing to the magnitude of this. And we're starting to be so much more conscious in the idea of being ecological and green. So I got to tell you, I think this is going to change the face of the oil industry. So it's that simple. And the nice thing is that when I start with my conclusion, whatever it is I want to state, and then I'm backing it up, while I'm backing it up, I can actually think more, because I know what my closing is, right? So I don't have to worry about that. I started with my opening, now one or two. And then I can stop and somebody can say, well, wait a minute, what about, you know, and then they, okay, great, and you can keep going. But don't give 5 or 6 or 7 things. Because it's not about you don't know what to say when you're thinking on your feet. It's you have all kinds of ideas and concepts and things. You just can't narrow it down and say, I'm just going to go with this one. When you're pitching ideas, storylines, that sort of thing, it's a whole different ballgame. You have to have those. You can stop and think and just hopefully come up with something that's got a little twist to it. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. But in situations where you're being asked to respond to something, to talk about something with very little notice, etc., these kind of templates work really, really well. So you'll at least always come across as, wow, very organized, very concise, very precise about what they're talking about. And you say it with confidence. So that's just the kind of basic. And then just a little bit variation on that is just a general template that I can use if I want to make a recommendation, if I want to show that I have conviction around a topic or whatever. It's usually at a meeting or something when somebody says, well, what do you think about that idea? And so what you do is you make whatever declarative sentence you want to make. That's basically going to be your closing. A lot of times it'll be that recommendation. Or just a really strong statement of how you feel about something. And then you back it up with 1 or 2 things. And in my head, I'm always kind of using the words, the reason I say that is, because I'm just answering that. Here's what I think. The reason I say that is, boom, 1 or 2 things, and then conclusion. And once again, keep it tight, keep it really, really on target, and then let them respond to that, which is giving you even more time to think. And so you want to do this kind of back and forth as much as you can. And most of the time in a meeting situation, when somebody asks you what do you think, they don't want you to go on and on and on. They just want to, what do you think? Give it to them, and then stop talking. They're not asking for a thesis. Oh, no, it's the president. The president wants this little tiny bit. Executives want real 35,000-foot kind of observations. They do not want a lot of detail. So, boom, just get it and get out. Make sense? Now, it's not magic. It's not a magic bullet, but the people that are really good at this, like a lot of people say, oh, Robin Williams is an incredible improviser. No, he's not. He has memorized. He has this incredible recall. He has memorized all of this stuff that he just strings together. Boom, 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 boom. So it's not like in the moment he's creating all this stuff. He doesn't. I've watched him for years. It's like the same stuff in just different patternings. And that's what this is. It's just you need some kind of structure for your mind to go, okay, good, I can do this. Because most of the time, you don't know where you're going. You cannot get in your car and start driving and kind of go, what am I doing here? No, you go, I need chicken. Okay. I know where I can get chicken, and I go to get chicken, I come back. But man, if you don't do this simple thing, and I'm telling you, it is not complicated. If you don't do it, you will have a horrible time trying to think on your feet. But if you do it, you'll be really clear. And I'm telling you, the more you play with this idea, it's very simple, the more people are really going to go, wow, you really have thought about this. It's like, oh, no, I haven't. I just made that up. It was good. And then if you have an update, a lot of times you have a project. I'm sure a lot of you have projects. Don't go on and on and on and on. Tell them that it's an update on a project. Really simple. I mean, if they want to know more information, they'll ask you, and you'll probably have documentation. But simply start with the current state. You know, what's going on with that project you're working on? Well, it's great. We're doing really great. A lot of creativity, a lot of great things are happening. And then give a success. You know, one of the things that's really wonderful is, you know, we did this, and this turned out really well. We were just surprised at how this came about. One of the problems or snags we ran into was this. And if you have a solution that you've already found for it, and say, so what we're doing is this in order to take care of it. And then next steps. So where are you going to go with this project? So what we're going to do next is we're going to do these things, and then we'll give you an update later on. Simple. So current state, support it, one or two things, challenge, success, anything like that, but just a couple things, not a lot. And then close it back down. And then once again, you can start a conversation about that. They can ask you questions about things, and you don't have to worry about getting all this stuff and all this information out because they don't want it. Have a conversation. So any questions on this whole template idea before I start to wrap up? I was that clear. That's good. Brilliant. All right. Yes? The verbal, yeah, the verbal, vocal, visual.
Touch on visual. Visual, I want you to talk about, say when you speak with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I know you talk on violins. What do you think about that? And when your ideas of kind of giving people demonstrations or trying to bring them into things?
It's good. People like gestures because they're visual. We're all visual. The only time gestures get in the way is if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. So what you want to do is really think of an idea and show us what that idea is. And that's the best way to use gestures. Just don't do the same thing over and over again. It gets really irritating.
Eye contact with two people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, especially if it's a small room interview or if you're interviewing somebody, it gets sometimes where do you go? How do you
Same thing. Give them a sentence. Give them a sentence. Give them a sentence. Give them a sentence. You know, you might stop and look down for a second to think and bring it back in. You know, so just break it up. Once more than one person. And even if you have one person, you want to occasionally look away from them. You don't want to get into a staring contest. Look away. Look at something that you can see in common, though, because otherwise, if you're looking over their head or over their shoulder, it's like, what are you looking at? So listen. That's a key thing to being good at thinking on your feet. You really got to listen because a lot of times you just start going off and you didn't even really listen to what the idea, concept, challenge, question, anything is. Pause to think. Use the templates. Keep it simple. Now, if you can just trust your mind and you can practice this stuff every day, and I mean it, it's so simple. You can play this with your kids and with your spouse and partners and everything else. It's really throw a topic, have them say what they think, back it up and do it, and just start getting used to that. So that's what your mind does automatically. Then thinking on your feet is much more manageable. Once again, if you don't have an idea, you don't have an idea. But if you do, and you can structure it, then you always come across as confident and capable, always. They may not like the idea. It doesn't matter, man. You're confident. I want to work with confident people. I want to work with somebody who really knows how to put those ideas out there in an enthusiastic, confident way. Because I may not like that idea, but I like you. I like the way you work. I want to work with people that can kind of, really tug on it with me. And how you deliver it is really key. Stop judging yourself. Get that state of mind so that it's positive. Now, I've got a handout. If anybody's interested, I've got an electronic handout I can give you that shows you some of these templates and goes into more detail about some of the different elements. It's just tward@commskillsgroup.com. So just drop me an email and I'll just respond with this element. Or if you have any other questions, anything about whatever, I've got lots of information in the head and I will share that with you. And if I have any kind of written backup material, I'll send that to you also. So any last question before we wrap? Anything? Yes.
Okay, what if you all right, so you got this new adaptive thing, you're excited and all the time, right? But you have to fit something every day.
Right.
So you fail, and they're just like, I don't buy this, you're excited the next day for it.
Right. That's the challenge. You have to be excited. I've given talks about communication skills probably 10,000 times in the last 25 years. I just changed my mindset. You haven't heard it before, so I'm excited that you're going to hear it. Once again, you go into that. It's valuable. I'm excited about it, and you have to bring it back up. You can't go into that, oh, no, I did this before. I did this yesterday. Who cares? You have to do it again. Do it. Do it with gusto. Change your state of mind. It's really key. All right, one last question. Yeah. Your voice, because when that 7, 38, and 55, when they did the study with just the phone, it goes 15 for content, 85 for voice. So you really have to push the voice. You really have to use that voice well. And it's funny because our visual is so strong. Have you ever talked to somebody on the phone for like a month or two and you've never met them, and then you meet them, and it's like, oh, you're a boy. I didn't really. I got to erase all that stuff in my head. But is that powerful? So when you're talking, your voice is actually describing. I mean, once again, the voice talent in this room, it's like they create these incredible visions in our heads of what people look like and how they are and all that stuff. So, but once again, just really change your state of mind, really play with some of those skills, those delivery skills, and then see if you can just get used to the template, and your life will be so much easier. It doesn't handle everything, but it will really give you some tools that you can come across as confident and capable. And thank you, and have a great rest of the conference.